Good morning or good afternoon. I want to do a quick video on installing the signal plotter and getting it set up for the first time. A few things you could look at. So when you come in here, let's go to Tools and go to Single Plotter. Take you there if you want to get on your the email list in order to get updates of versions and whatnot. There's a summary if you haven't read it already. Here's the download file. It would default to 10 days, I think it is, or maybe 20 days. So you'll have 20 days on it before it's going to start asking you for some ID, but you're still going to need a token, so it's not going to work when you first download it. I'm going to update this video right now, but you can watch this demo one if it's still here. Otherwise, it's going to be this video. We'll go to this in just a second, and if there's any upcoming webinars, you can look at that. You can click on this button here for subscription, but it doesn't matter because that'll start right away. Right now we're doing a demo, so it's not an issue. So coming down here, the one you want to look at is make sure you're running the current version, and you can kind of read prior things what we've done. So to get the file, you would go ahead and select this. I'll just do it right now. And you see in my version, I mean, they're all different depending on what you're using, but it comes in there. Then from there, we can go over to Tools, Import Ninja Script, and then it's going to pull up your Explorer, File Explorer to find out where you put things. So you download that. It's going to say, do you trust the source? Say yes, and you put it in there, and it's going to say okay. It may or may not. Sometimes it does ask you to watch the warnings, and it'll, if you get it that says shut down, you obviously have to launch. Just close Ninja, wait 2 seconds, and fire it back up again, and then it'll clear it out and it'll come on. Once you have your chart, this is running on a 13 range chart. You can have any indicators you want on here. As you see, I have the status box on here because I like to watch my drawdown margin, how much I got to play with for the day. But you could have moving averages or whatever you want on here. So you would go then to indicators, and you would go to the Tremper folder, and you would scroll down to signal plotter and double click on that. And then I'll just get to the defaults. There's the defaults. So you could change these any way you want. I'm going to be I changed mine to 5. I like to wait to get away from that morning for at least a 5-minute bar. Anyway, you could put your numbers in here. You have to have a negative sign for your drawdown. Otherwise, you probably won't get any trades, because if it's anything above 0, then you've already met your goal. So these defaults here, close on deterioration. Some guys use this, some guys don't. It's an internal it's internal logic that if you're using the dynamic management, it'll just close the trade for you right away, and you'll wonder why. So use that or not. There's some options here based on, I would just go with the default until you start getting a little bit more comfortable. And the area-based, it'll move them to their area-based targets that are dynamically set. News events, I like 5 minutes. Actually, I could probably, the default is 5. I can go to 3. And I like high. I don't really care about medium news, but that's a personal preference. I have my sounds in there. You can just go pick a file. Just pick anything, double click on whatever you want in there, if anything at all. Latency, if this is turned on, it's going to take all the trades. If you turn that on, it's only going to take a trade if it falls within this criteria. So I like to see what my latency is. It'll display it here in milliseconds, ms. So I like to see what it is, so I have it on. But I just want to get all the trades. I'm not really worried about latency right now at this point. So I just put 9999 in there just so, of course, if anything comes in later than that, I probably don't want it anyway. And then you're going to start on sim. And now this one here is important. You want to create an NQ1 for one contract, because right here, number of contract is 1. Now, if you change that to 2, then you're going to have to create an NQ2. So in my case, you can pick whatever you want, but you want to have that installed. And I'll go into that, how you meant in just a second. And the colors are all here nor there, and everything else is fine. So I'm going to go ahead and say OK to that. So let's go into this here. So here's your NQ. So if you don't know how to do it, you would go up to the top. You would say custom. It would create one. I have 50, or no, I think the default is 60. Yeah, 60, and then, like, I don't know, do a 60, 60, 1-to-1. I have some stop management in there because I like to, to take some profits, and you can get a little whatever you want in here, but if you just go with the defaults of 60, 60, the name of the game is you want to save it, and you want to call it MQ1 for one contract, and 2 if you're doing 2. So I'm not going to do that right now. You can pick your account. You're running. I'm on the 10 account here. So, and that's all you need for this. So you can close this. You don't need to have status specs on, but if you want to see what it is, I would recommend having that if you want to know what margin you're dealing with. Okay, so you're going to have 3 buttons up here. It's always going to be pause. So anytime you go in there and change any kind of setting, even if it's not on this indicator, if you come into indicators at all and make any kind of changes and hit OK or apply, then you're going to have a pause, and you're going to have to just get in the habit of doing that. The version number, you want to make sure, as we talked about earlier on here, you want to make sure you're running the current version. And then so when you're ready to go, there's a few things we want to make sure. Now, if you're not interested in executing orders, then you're good to go. You could just download some signals right there. If you want to see the news will show it up there. I don't need to see it. Right here it says we're paused, so I'll unpause it. And it's traded. I'm offline right now. Why am I offline? Hold on. Oh, that is why I'm offline. One important thing I guess I forgot to tell you, probably the most important thing, is coming down here. A little further down is right here. You have to have the email address and the token that's been assigned. So you can just copy and paste that when you get it, your email address, and then you can paste that token. It has to be case sensitive, so I wouldn't mess around with that. And once you put that in there, let me do that right now. Okay, so I've got my email and token in here. So it says online receiving, so I'm good to go. Trading enabled. It's obviously paused right here, so I want to unpause it. There it is. If you want to pull up some prior download signals, from the past, historically, you can hit that, and there might be some here. Obviously, shorts and long. So here are some of the things you want to watch out for. So here is the black line. Oh, one other thing is if you have a black chart, a black background, you're not going to see these black lines. So you got to change that to white. If you're using a white screen, then you might not see these labels right here. So you're going to have to change it to like a gray or something, or the label. So we're working on that with all the color variations, but that it is what it is right now. So in any event, if the black line is the entry, and then there's your 2 dynamic targets, you can see in this case, they have both failed. And that happens. So here you could see it went in, it kind of came up, and then it ultimately, how long did that take? It took from 17 to 20, so 10-minute trade to finally get it and hit it. Now, how you're managing that is up to, these are only recommended. So based on your ATM, if you have the dynamic management enabled, it will snap to the stop right there. Even if you have 50 in there, as we did, if this is less than 50, it's going to pop it to that area. If you don't want that, you could turn that off. However, if you have, it takes about 1 bar to calculate and snap it down there. But after that, that's it. So whatever you do at that point is on you or your ATM. So if you move it and trail it, or if you don't want to have it that high, you could force it further. But regardless, again, I would play with sim for a while on this until you get comfortable. But if you have your stop right there, in my case, once it gets down to here, it starts trailing because I don't want to give it back. But that's management is totally on how you want to do it. The targets and the stops will be planted there for you, and however you want to manage intratrade is totally on you. So anyway, download signals. If you don't see signals, hit download, and that'll pull in past historical ones, again, the news, if you want the news, and that's really about it. So if you are interested in having it automatically put the order there, so if you have different indicators on here and you see a signal there and there's the entry, you might not like it, so you just don't do it if you're doing it manually. If you do like it, you put your order there and it'll eventually come back and get you. So that's totally up to you on how you want to handle it. But if you do want it to take orders, you have to come here and go to options, and under automated trading interface, this must be checked. So you have to check that. Otherwise, it's not going to do any automated trading interfaces. So you have to have that, and then your contract size, your ATM. Other than that, that's it. So now we are ready to go, and it's online, and we're just waiting for a signal. Now it's Friday at noon, so you know, I don't even know if I want to do it, but that's the gist of it. Now, if you have this and something is not working correctly, I would come over to here, down to troubleshooting. And of course, if you're, well, I'll go into that next. So go to Signal Plotter, and I have written, there's a little checklist here, troubleshooting checklist. There's some questions that have popped up over the time, and that'll answer some of your questions. So that would be you know, your first self-help type of where to go. Under community, I would, if you're not already, I would get into the Skype traders group, because there's always somebody in here that's willing to help you out, even if it's not related to this, just anything trading related. Heck, I've even asked questions in there regarding my computer, and had some computer guys come back and give me some things on what to do. So basically, the whole theme of this is traders versus not versus traders helping traders, and that's, you know, that's what we are. It's a lonely game, and therefore we're all in the same group together. And it's free, it doesn't cost anything. Just you're more than welcome to join there. Discord really doesn't have a lot of activity. It just kind of never took off because Skype has always been around for years, and so we've been doing that. If you want to join the trade room, this link, boom, will take you right to it. It'll start a Zoom session, and you'll be right in there. If it's closed, obviously, then you're just going to say waiting until the next day. If it's open, you'll just be in there. You'll automatically be set to mute. And the same for social hour. I wanted to call it happy hour, but I was outvoted, and social hour is it. So same thing, you'll be automatically be muted when you come in. So if you want to talk to somebody. Now, the thing with social hour is it's after the market closes. And a lot of times I see people come in, and I'll get an email saying, hey, somebody's joined it. And then I go in and they're gone. And then 2 seconds later, somebody comes or somebody leaves. And then 2 seconds later, somebody else comes and leaves. So there's always a hit and miss. So I would recommend, if you do go into social hour, just if you're going to meet anybody, you know, just kind of hang out there for 10 minutes, give somebody a little opportunity to come in, and you might catch somebody. But I'm always trying to be there as much as I can, just for technical support purposes. So sure, we could talk about that in the trade room during the trade, but sometimes if it's busy and crazy, it's a little bit less talk and more muting. But I am there, and we can troubleshoot some things. If you need me right here, direct chat is this down here, the let's chat thing. If I'm here, it's just me. You're not going to get a service. You're not going to get anything. I don't even have the self-help bot thingy. All I have is a chat. So if I'm here, you can get me. If I'm not, you won't. And the other thing is obviously just email. The contact form here will take you to this one here. You really don't need this except for the third party, and I'll go through that real quick. The third party ID we need to have, not the machine ID licensing anymore. So in here, you would go to help, and right there is third party licensing. You would go into there, pull up this little window, you type in Trimper. If you haven't, now if you've done it already, I'm not going to do it because I already done it, but if you've already done it, it'll override what you've had. So I would not recommend doing this a second time to test it. And then you could put, now I recommend putting your machine ID. So, you know, HP laptop, or, you know, Dell, you know, Commodore 64, you know, whatever you might want to put in there. You know, you can say office, home office, you know, so that way you could, no spaces. So that way you could identify what it is. And once you say submit, it'll put it right here. You cut and paste that to an email, and then I'll get you in the system, and I'll send you a token. Other than that, that's really about it for getting started. Other than that, happy trading.